Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotee, Tanat Pranams. Thank you for joining in for our Srimad Bhagavatam study session. We are continuing with chapter number 9 of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udhirayet Nashtaprayesha Bhadresho Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtuke Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Om Jnanatimrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशधारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरद्विषे नमः वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरून् दिनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यमीश्वरं हरिः ओं तत्सत् गुरवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकायै तडालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः आराध्य भगवान् ब्रजेशतनयस्तद्धाम वृन्दावनं रम्या काचिदुपासना व्रजवधू वर्गेण वा कल्पिता श्रीमद्भागवतं पुराणममलं प्रेम पुमर्तो महान् श्रीचैतन्यमहाप्रभोर्मतमिदं तत्र धरनापरा Hare Krishna. So thank you for joining in, welcoming all the devotees for our Srimad Bhagavatam study session. So we are continuing with verse number 15. We are quickly revising actually. We had completed till about 22 verses the last time we were doing the study. So we are quickly doing a recapitulation. The context is Bhishma Pitama is lying down on the bed of arrows after the Kurukshetra war. And as ordained by Lord Sri Krishna, Bhishma Pitama has been chosen by Lord Sri Krishna to advise Yudhishthira Maharaj to come out of his suffering, to come out of his depression. Because he is thinking that all of this war, so many people killed and massacred simply because I have to become the king. And even, Krishna by his own arrangement makes it known that even Yudhishthira Maharaj was not satisfied. Even when Krishna himself told him that it was a dharma yuddha, it was with the establishment of dharma, but Yudhishthira Maharaj was not satisfied. So by the sweet will of Lord Sri Krishna, like Krishna always wants to give credit to his devotees. So for that reason, we see here that Krishna has chosen Bhishma Pitamaha, who actually fought on the opposite side and is now lying on the bed of arrows, as the chosen person to actually deliver this instructions on governance to Yudhishthira Maharaj, and also convincing Yudhishthira Maharaj how this fight was not a battle just to make Yudhishthira the king, but it is a battle to establish the principles of dharma. And it all happened by the will of Lord Sri Krishna. So let's go ahead. Text number 15. यत्र धर्म सुतो राजा गडापाणिर्वृकोदरः कृष्णो अस्त्री गांडीवं चापं सुहृत् कृष्णस्ततो विपत्. Synonyms of word meaning. Yatra, where there is, Dharma Sutaha, the son of Dharmaraj, Raja, the king, Gadapani, with his mighty club in hand, Vrukodara, Bhima, Krishna, Arjuna, Astri, carrier of the weapon, Gandivam, Gandiva, Chapam, bow, Suhrit, well-wisher, Krishnaha, Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, Tataha, thereof, Vipat, reverse. Translation, purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Oh, how wonderful is the influence of inevitable time. It is irreversible. Otherwise, how can there be reverses in the presence of King Yudhishthira, the son of the demigod, controlling religion? Bhima, the great fighter with a club. The great bowman Arjuna with his mighty weapon Gandiva. And above all, the Lord, the direct well-wisher of the Pandavas. Purport? Okay, Deval Mataji, I see your hand up. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanvat Pranam. Purport. As far as the material or spiritual resources were required, there was no scarcity in the case of the Pandavas. Materially, they were well equipped because two great warriors, namely Bhima and Arjuna, were there. Spiritually, the king himself was a symbol of religion, and above all of them, the personality of Godhead. Lord Sri Krishna was personally concerned with their affairs as a well wisher. And yet, there were so many reverses on the side of the Pandavas. Despite the power of pious acts, the power of personalities, the power of expert management, and the power of weapons under the direct supervision of Lord Krishna, the Pandavas suffered so many practical reverses, which can only be explained as due to the influence of Kala, inevitable time. Kala is identical with the Lord himself, and therefore the influence of Kala indicates the explicable wish of the Lord himself. There is nothing to be lamented when a matter is beyond the control of any human being. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Dhanvat Pranam.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. So everything is, Kala Chakra, Sambrata Kala Chakro, right? In Brahma Samhita also it says. So everything happens with the influence of time. And Krishna says, Aham Kalosmi, right? Krishna says, I am the time. And I devour everything in the form of time, in the form of death, like that. Yeah, Mrityu Sarva Haraschaham. Like that Krishna says, right? So when we are born in this material world, we need to, this body is this jada, right, made up of earth, water, fire, air, and ether, it is subject to miseries, right? Because we are attached to the body, we identify that these miseries are caused to me, right? But the najayate mrite va kadachin ayam bhutva bhavita vanabhoyah ajo nityah shashvatoyam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire, right? Actually, there is no misery for the soul, right? The misery is all for the mind and the body, right? Because we are so attached to certain things. When those things are taken away, there is misery that is experienced by the mind, right? Because this body is made up of earth, water, fire, and ether. When we get hurt, or when when we sit for a long time, sometimes we're not able to get up. There is numbness. Now, all that is because of the materialistic nature or the material composition of this body, and the unnecessary attachments that we attach to with our mind. All of the lamentation and hankering is because it's more caused due to the mind, right? So the other day we were talking about how a person, a student was having a samosa, right? The delicious samosa in the hand, but someone comes and tells you failed the test. And what happens? The same delicious samosa is in the hand, but when the mind got to know that something bad has happened, something bad has happened, then what happens? The body is not able to relish the samosa, the same hot samosa in the hand, which the person was relishing 1 minute ago until he heard this news. So there are higher levels of happiness. One is at the physical level of happiness, this enjoyment of samosa, eating samosa, wearing new clothes, etc. Higher than that is a mental pleasure, right? Getting some good news, getting some good marks, getting good name, fame, glory, etc. And higher than the mental pleasure is the intellectual pleasure. Intellectual pleasure means to create something, to discover something, to help somebody, and to be feel like a godfather for somebody. That is intellectual pleasure. It is at a higher level than the mind. But the highest level of pleasure is spiritual pleasure. The pleasure of serving, satisfying, and pleasing Guru and Gauranga. That pleasure is eternal, because the bliss that we experience is because we have given that kind of bliss for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although it is not in need of service, but yet the Lord, when He feels happy with our consciousness, with the consciousness with which we rendered our service, then we also experience that bliss, right? Because we are part and parcel of the Lord, right? Otherwise, the physical pleasure, the mental pleasure, and the intellectual pleasure, they are all temporary, right? Something supersedes over that. And then what happens? Our physical pleasure is gone. Something supersedes the mental pleasure, then the mental pleasure is gone, right? And the spiritual pleasure is the highest of all, right? When we are able to get that pleasure by giving pleasure to the Lord, right? Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchyate. That kind of pleasure is eternal, because that is bliss that is obtained by serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by giving bliss to the Lord. Otherwise, all of those material pleasures are fleeting. They come and go. This too shall pass, right? So like that. So happiness and distress. Matra Sparshas Konteya Sitoshna, Sukadukala, Agama, Paino, Anityas, Tam, Sati, Chishma, Bharati. They're all temporary. We need to tolerate material, so-called happiness and so-called distress. They will keep coming and going. But we need to perform our dharma. We need to serve the Lord. We need to please the Lord. And in that, the spiritual happiness that we get, there is no diminution in that spiritual happiness. Neha vikramanaşosti pratyavayona vidyate. Swalpam api yasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Even a little bit of devotional service can protect us from the greatest type of danger. All right, text number 16. Nahi yasya karhi chidrajan puman veda viditsitam yat vijijñasaya yukta muyyanti kavayopihi. Synonyms, Shri Priya Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji, pranams. Synonyms, translation purport by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. No, never, he, certainly, asya, his, karsh at whatsoever, Rajan, O king, umon, anyone, Veda knows Vidishtam plan, yet which Vijinasaya with exhaustive inquiries, Yuktaha being engaged, Muhyanti bewildered, Kavayaha great philosophers, Api even he certainly. Translation. O king, no one can know the plan of Lord Shri Krishna, even though great philosophers inquire exhaustively, even they are bewildered. Purport. The bewilderment of Maharaj Yudhishthira over his past sinful acts and the resultant sufferings, etc., is completely negated by the great authority Bhishma, one of the 12 authorized persons. Bhishma wanted to impress upon Maharaj Yudhishthira that since time immemorial, no one, including such demigods as Shiva and Brahma, could ascertain the real plan of the Lord. So, what can we understand about it? It is useless also to inquire about it. Even the exhaustive philosophical inquiries of sages cannot ascertain the plan of the Lord. The best policy is simply to abide by the orders of the Lord without argument. The sufferings of the Pandavas were never due to their past deeds. Lord had to execute the plan of establishing the kingdom of virtue, and therefore his own devotees suffered temporarily in order to establish the conquest of virtue. Bhishma Deva was certainly satisfied by seeing the triumph of virtue, and and he was glad to see King Yudhishthira on the throne, although he himself fought against him. Even a great fighter like Bhishma could not win the battle of Kurukshetra because the Lord wanted to show that vice cannot conquer virtue regardless of who tries to execute it. Bhishma Deva was a great devotee of the Lord, but chose to fight against the Pandavas by the will of the Lord, because the Lord wanted to show that a fighter like Bhishma cannot win on the wrong side. Hare Krishna, Pranams. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So, your voice was breaking, Mataji. I don't know whether it was only for me or for others also. This is very wonderful, right? What Krishna is saying, even if a great devotee, right? Bhishma Pitama is one of the Mahajans, right? What is that verse? Swayambhu Nardashambhu Kumaro Kapilo Manuhu Pralado Janako Bhishmo Balir Vaiyasaki Vayam, right? So he's one of the Mahajans. Bhishma Pitama is one of the Mahajans. And yet, being a devotee of the Lord, being a great fighter, Krishna wanted to declare to the world that even if somebody is a great devotee, or even if somebody is a great warrior, right? If he makes a wrong choice of getting into the side of adharma, then his defeat is certain, right? Because it is not about any person. It is about which side, because Krishna is always on the side of dharma, right? If we choose to remain in the side of dharma, we'll always be protected by the Lord. Ultimately, the victory will be ours, right? Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanurdharaha, Tatra Shri Vijaya Bhotir Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. But how that victory will come and what are the details, we will never understand the plan of the Lord, right? The plan of the Lord is inconceivable. Nobody can claim to understand the plan of the Lord. Even the best of the devotees can be put into illusion, can be put into bewilderment by the Lord to fulfill a greater purpose, right? So in this way, we also see here that Bhishma Pitamaha, although a great warrior, had to undergo defeat, and yet he was happy to accept that defeat, right? Because he knew that it was a success of dharma, and in that context only he is now going to explain to Yudhishthira Maharaj how dharma always wins and how to rule the country or rule Hastinapur in a way that is pleasing to the Lord, and that is simply by following the dharma or the rules and regulations which are established for each varna and ashram, like that. Okay, next verse, text number 17. Tasmad idam daivatantram vyavasya bharatarsabha tasyanu vihito anatha nata pahi praja prabho. Okay, Rajneesh Prabhu, please go ahead. Synonyms.
Hare Krishna Mataji Dande Pranam.
Janat Pranam, yes, Prabhu.
Tasmat, therefore, idam, this, deva tantram, enhancement of enchantment of the providence only, Vya- vyavasa, ascertaining, Bharat, Bharat Rasabha, O best among the descendants of Bharata, Tasya, by him, Anuvihitaha, as desired, Anatha, helpless, Natha, O master, Pahi, just take care of Prajaha, of the subjects, Prabho, O Lord. Translation, O best among the descendants of Bharata, means Yudhishthira, I maintain therefore that all this is within the plan of the Lord, accepting the inconceivable plan of the Lord. You must follow it. You are now the appointed administrative head, and my lord, you should now take care of those subjects who are now rendered helpless. The popular saying is that a housewife teaches the daughter-in-law by teaching the daughter. Similarly, Lord teaches the world by teaching the devotee. The devotee does not have to learn anything new from the Lord, because the Lord teaches the sincere devotee always from within. Whenever, therefore, a show is made to teach the devotee, as in the case of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, it is for teaching the less intelligent man. A devotee's duty, therefore, is to ungrudgingly accept tribulations from the Lord as a benediction. The Pandavas were advised by Bhishma Dev to accept the responsibility of administration without hesitation. The poor subjects were without protection due to the battle of Kurukshetra, and they were awaiting the assumption of power by Maharaj Yudhishthira. A pure devotee of the Lord accepts tribulations as favors from the Lord. Since the Lord is absolute, there is no mundane difference between the two. Text 18. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you. So it is said that miseries are the backside of the Lord, and what we perceive as happiness is being in front of the Lord. Right? Nothing happens without the sanction of the Lord. Whether we perceive it as a misery or whether we perceive it as that happiness. Right? Because everything happens only with the sanction of the Lord. And if the Lord has sanctioned something, then there must be a higher purpose to it, what we are not able to see right now. So when we view trials and tribulations as being sanctioned by the Lord, anyway, it has been reduced to a very low proportion. Because we are devotees of the Lord, right? Actually, we should be suffering much, much higher. But because we are devotees of the Lord, we are practicing devotional service. We are remembering. We're trying to remember the Lord all the time. All of the trials and tribulations that we are getting are actually minuscule, right? We are supposed to get a mountain of troubles, but you are only getting a molehill because Krishna has very kindly reduced the trouble. And also, when there is trouble, we should understand what is the learning from out of it. Right? Krishna is teaching us something through that particular situation and how we can evolve and become better as devotees, right? As better human beings, like that. So there is no difference, right? In the absolute realm, there is no suffering, there is no happiness, because everything is executed for the pleasure of the Lord. Right? Only when we think of some results for ourselves, then we are being frustrated, right? That I expected this, I did not get this, I'm frustrated. But when we simply do our duty and whatever comes as a result of that performance, we just offer it to Krishna and we accept that as the will of the Lord and accept that and move on. Then there is no actual misery. Although it may seem that something is going outside my plan, then we should understand that a greater plan is in action. There is a plan by the Supreme Personality of Godhead which is actually in action. So in this way we should accept miseries. Tatte nukampam susamikshmano bhunjana evatma kritam vipakam hridvadvapurvir vidada namaste jive taye mukti pade sadaya bhag. Tatte anukampam. Anukampa means compassion. We should accept the misery of the Lord also as the compassion of the Supreme Lord, because He has reduced the misery to a very large extent. Bunjana evatm kritam dipakam. We should be grateful to the Lord for He's reduced the misery. And also, if a person is able to do that, accept with gratitude any miserable situation also, jivet ye mukti padesa dayabhak. Even living in this world, such a person will be liberated. Liberated means such person will transcend the three modes of material nature. So in this way, there is no actual pain experienced. Right? Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Right? We may have some pain, but when we understand in the overall scheme of things how negligent this is, and we continue to perform our swadharma, we choose not to suffer. And that intelligence and that state of mind, that consciousness, we can obtain only when we chant Hare Krishna, when we perform devotional service. It is only by the spiritual strength or the bhala, or the spiritual bhala, or the spiritual strength, that is able to traverse through these situations and yet engage in the service of the Lord, like that. Okay, text number 18. Esha vai bhagavan sakshat adyo narayana puman mohayan mayaya lokam gudas charati vrishnisho. Synonyms: Esha, this, by positively, Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead, Sakshat, original, Adya, the first, Narayana, the Supreme Lord, who lies down in the water, Puman, the Supreme Enjoyer, Mohayan, bewildering, Mayaya, by his self-created energy, Lokam, the planets, Gudaha, who is inconceivable, Charati, moves, Vrishnishu, among the Vrishni family. Okay, Sarva Gopi Srimadaji, go ahead. Translation.
Translation. Hare Krishna Mataji. Translation. This Sri Krishna is no other than the inconceivable original personality of Godhead. He is the first Narayana, the supreme enjoyer, but he is moving amongst the descendants of King Vrishni just like one of us, and he is bewildering us with his self-created energy. Purport Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Vedic system of acquiring knowledge is the deductive process. The Vedic knowledge is received perfectly by disciplic succession from authorities. Such knowledge is never dogmatic, as ill-conceived by less intelligent persons. The mother is the authority to verify the identity of the father. She is the authority for such confidential knowledge. Therefore, authority is not dogmatic. In the Bhagavad Gita, this truth is confirmed in the second verse of the 4th chapter, and the perfect system of learning is to receive it from the authority. The very same system is accepted universally as truth, but only the false arguer speaks against it. For example, modern spacecraft fly in the sky and Hare Krishna. It is gone. Very bold. And when scientists say that they traveled to the other side of the moon, men believe these stories blindly because they have accepted the modern scientists as authorities. The authority speaks and the people in general believe them. But in the case of Vedic truth, they have been taught not to believe. Even if they accept them, they give a different interpretation. Each and every man wants a direct perception of Vedic knowledge, but Hare Krishna, scroll. Hare Krishna. Little scrolling. But foolishly they deny it. This means that the misguided man can believe one authority, the scientist, but will reject the authority of the Vedas. The result is that people have degenerated. Here is an authority of speaking about Sri Krishna as the original personality of Godhead and the first Narayana. Even such impersonalistic as Acharya Shankara has said in the beginning of his commentation on the Bhagavad Gita, that Narayana, the personality of Godhead, is beyond the material creation. This universe is one of the material creations, but Narayana is the transcendental to such material paraphernalia. Bhishma is one of the 12 Mahajanas who know the principles of the transcendental knowledge. His confirmation of Lord Sri Krishna being the original personality of Godhead, is also corroborated by the impersonalist Shankara. All the other acharyas have also confirmed in this statement. And thus, there is no chance of not accepting Lord Sri Krishna as the original personality of Godhead. Bhishma Deva, Arayana. Bhishma says that he is the first Narayana. This is also confirmed in the Brahmaji in the Bhagavatam 10:14-14. Krishna is the first Narayana. In the spiritual world, Vaikuntha, there are unlimited numbers of Narayana who are all the same personality of Godhead and are considered to be the plenary expansions of Krishna. The first form of the Lord, Sri Krishna, first expands himself into the form of a Baladeva, and Baladeva expands in so many forms, such as Sankarsana, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Vasudeva, Narayana, Purusha, Rama, and Narsimha. All these expansions are one and the same Vishnu Tattva. And Sri Krishna is the original source of all the plenary expansion. He is therefore the direct personality of Godhead. He is the creator of the material world. And he is the predominating deity known as Narayana in all the Vaikuntha planet. Therefore, his movements amongst human beings says means therefore, his movements among the human beings are another sort of the bewilderment. The Lord therefore says in the Bhagavad Gita that foolish person considered him to be the one of the human beings without knowing the intricacies of his movement. The bewilderment regarding the Sri Krishna is due to the action of his twofold internal and external energies upon the third one, called marginal energy. The living entities are expansions of his marginal energy, and thus they are sometimes bewildered by the internal energy and sometimes by the external energy. By internal energetic bewilderment, Sri Krishna expands himself into unlimited numbers of Narayana and exchanges or accept transcendental loving service from the living entities in the transcendental world. And by his external energetic expansion, he incarnates himself in the material world among the men, animals, or demigods to re-establish his forgotten relations with the living entities in different species of life. Great authorities like Bhishma, however, escape his bewilderment by the mercy of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dandat Pranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Danat Pranam. So, Krishna incarnates to fulfill several purposes, right? So, when he incarnates for one particular reason, right? The last time we were discussing about how when, somebody is in the United States and they are, just give me 1 second, devotees, I'll just come back. Hare Krishna. Sorry, devotees. Okay, so I was just saying that giving the analogy of how if somebody is staying in the United States and they have a marriage of a cousin, in India. So they come to India, to Bombay, and, once the marriage is all over, and then they stay for some more days. At that time, they also have a house in Bombay. So what do? They also clean up that house, right? They come all the way from US to India. So they also get the house cleaned, get the other stuff of the house also, get it up and cleaned up, right? But they're not coming all the way from US to India to get the house cleaned, right? But by the way, since they are here for some other purpose, they also want to get this work done. So like that, when Krishna appears, several purposes automatically get fulfilled. Paritranaya sadhunam, vinashaya cha dushkritam, dharma samstapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So when Krishna appears, he primarily appears to give pleasure to his devotees. And by the way, all the other the purposes also get fulfilled, like the demons also get killed, and in this way, like for example, Nalakuvera and Manigriva were also delivered when we study the Damodara pastimes, right? So the pastime is delivered. The pastime is enacted by the Lord simply to give pleasure to Mother Yashoda and to teach us all a lesson how simply by our endeavor, continuous endeavor, sincere endeavor, persistent endeavor, in spite of obstacles, if we serve this Lord, if we want to capture the Lord in our heart, it is possible by the mercy of the Lord to capture the Lord in our hearts. That is the primary rasa of Damodar Leela. But then what happened? Even the Nalakuvera and Manigriva were standing as trees. Because of the mercy of Narada Muni, they also got the opportunity to get delivered. So that happened by the way. Right? So, but the original purpose of why this Damodar Leela was enacted by the Lord was to give pleasure to Mother Yashoda, right? And also to all the Vrajavasis, right? Who also got to see how Lord Krishna was bound. And for all of us, right, who are aspiring devotees, want to become pure devotees of the Lord, how the Lord can be bound in our heart simply by sincere endeavor and service, like that. Okay, let's move ahead. I think this will be the last verse for today. How many minutes are left? Let me check. Okay, about 7 minutes are there. Okay, let's quickly go on to text number 19. Asyanubhavam Bhagavan Vedaguhyatamam Shivaha Devarishir Naradaha Sakshat Bhagavan Kapilo Nripa. Synonyms word word meaning. Asya of him, Anubhavam glories, Bhagavan the most powerful, Veda knows, Guhyatamam very confidential, Shiva Lord Shiva, Devarishi the great sage among the demigods, Narada, Sakshat directly, Bhagavan the personality of Godhead, Kapilaha Kapila, Nripa O king. Translation and purport Vishla Prabhupada. O king, Lord Shiva, Narada the sage amongst the demigods, and Kapila the incarnation of Godhead, all know very confidentially about his glories through direct contact. Pure devotees of the Lord are called Buddhas, or persons who know the glories of the Lord in different loving transcendental services. As the Lord has innumerable expansions of his plenary form, there are innumerable pure devotees of the Lord who are engaged in the service of the Lord in different humors. Ordinarily, there are 12 devotees of the Lord. They are Brahma, Narada, Shiva, Kumara, Kapila, Manu, Pralado, Janako, Bhishmo, Balir, Vaya, Sakir, Vayam, Shukadev Goswami, Bali Maharaj and Yamaraj. Vayam means myself. Yamaraj is actually saying this verse. And Bhishma Deva, although one of them, has mentioned only 3 important names of the 12 who know the glories of the Lord. Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, one of the greatest acharyas in the modern age, explains that Anubhava, or the glory of the Lord, is first appreciated by the devotee in ecstasy, manifesting the symptoms of perspiring, trembling, weeping, bodily eruptions, etc., which are further enhanced by steady understanding the glories of the Lord. Such different understandings of bhavas are exchanged between Yashoda and the Lord, binding the Lord by ropes, and in the chariot driving by the Lord, the exchange of love with Arjuna. These glories of the Lord are exhibited in his being subordinated before his devotees. And that is another feature of the glories of the Lord. Shukadeva Goswami and the Kumaras, although situated in the transcendental position, became converted by another feature of bhava and turned into pure devotees of the Lord. Tribulations imposed upon the devotees by the Lord constitute another exchange of transcendental bhava between the Lord and the devotees. Okay, so let's continue this next week. Okay, let's finish. This is a small paragraph, but I wanted to discuss this in detail. Okay, fine. So let's read this last section of this purport next Tuesday. But here there are several transcendental humors, right? The 5 we know, which is Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, what is it? Dasya, Sakya, and then Vatsalya, Sakya and Madhurya. What am I missing? Shantarasa, right? Of course, in Shantarasa, even the ornaments of the Lord, they're all people, because they all have this desire to serve the Lord. In the spiritual world, there is no jada. Everybody is having this chetana, this consciousness, and that consciousness is to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. So all of these exchanges are extremely spiritual, and everybody who's exchanging, like for example, Yashoda and Krishna, the love of Vatsalya, that is considered highest by Mother Yashoda. Right? It is not that Mother Yashoda is aspiring for Madhurya Rasa. Oh, they are experiencing greater pleasure, I want that. No. Everyone is satisfied in their constitutional position in serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right? And we also know how Shukadeva Goswami and Sanat Kumaras, they are actually Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. Right? They are all Brahmavadis. Right? But when they smelled the lotus feet of the Lord, the tulasi that was offered at the lotus feet of the Lord, then they developed emotional ecstasies. Then they developed bhava. Then they developed emotions for the Lord, isn't it? So in that way, whatever is related to the Lord in the form of his Bhagavan feature, right? Vadanti tattva vidas tattvam yajnanadvayam brahmeti paramatmeti Bhagavan iti shabdyate. So the highest realization of the Supreme Lord is the Bhagavan feature, and whatever is related to the Bhagavan feature relates to one of the transcendental rasas. Right? There is Sakya rasa. Right? In the Vishnu forms, there is predominantly Dasya rasa, where one serves the Lord with awe and reverence, with devotion, with love. Right? But in all of the Krishna Leelas, we find that the predominance of Madhurya Rasa, Vatsalya Rasa, and Sakya Rasa, where the Lord is predominated by his devotee. The Lord is taken care of by the devotee. The devotees feel that the Lord is incomplete without my service to him. The Lord will not be able to enjoy without my service to him. So that's why Mother Yashoda, right, even when she sees that Krishna is showing the universal form within his mouth, right, she's thinking, oh, what happened? And she's praying to Narayan, oh Narayan, please protect my little boy. See, he's showing some symptoms of some world universe in his mouth. Maybe I don't know what is wrong with him. So protection for the child is what is prayed for by Mother Yashoda. So where the awe and reverence is completely missing, and this is the highest level of understanding the Lord and serving the Lord with complete Vatsalya Rasa, with complete motherhood love, with complete Madhurya Rasa, which means complete love in Parakya Bhav, like that. So, in order to attain this stage, right, we should at least know what are the rasas. How can we attain that stage? By following in the footsteps and by developing this Seva Bhav, which is unmotivated and uninterrupted. Slowly and gradually, we will understand our Sthayi Bhav, our constitutional position, and how we can serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead for his pleasure. Grantaraj, Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai, Jagat Guru, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev ki Jai. So I'll request devotees to turn your cameras. I think we have about a minute left. We'll quickly do Harinam Sankirtan for the pleasure of the Lordships, and we will end our session. Tomorrow we'll meet at 12 o'clock, 12:30. 12:30 mostly, because we are doing Bhagavad Gita session. So that's the reason we're getting a little more delayed than normal. I'm apologies for that. So tomorrow we'll meet at 12:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time, and we will continue with Chaitanya Charitamrita. That is a postgraduate study. So with the grace of Prabhupada, we're able to get into all of these realms of transcendental ecstasy. Otherwise, we have no qualification. Om Vishnu Padhaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pasyatya Deshadharine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna